This is the movie review on the Mitchell and Kenyan, and it's looks at the Edwardian era, particularly in the early 90s, about how sport has developed from the early 90s onwards, and the similarities and differences between sports then and now. At the start, it shows a walking event, which you can kind of look today and go, that's very similar to marathon, like the layout and distance and with the crowds there as well, and sponsorship. Like with the walk on, you could see even back in the early 90s that 1900s that sponsorship played a big part, and the big stick out moment you can see in that clip of the walking is OXO. So even then sponsorship was playing an influence, and as in you can see today, you look at the World Cup and the Olympics and you have big sponsorship things like McDonald's and Coca-Cola and Heineken and Budweiser and all that. So I didn't think early on back then that they would have sponsorship similar to the way we have today. And also I liked it showed with the football derbies that the stadiums of back then are very similar to today. That you still have the lower, middle and higher class and the different price ranges between stadiums for big matches. And there was also the Rhone event, which is, I'd say, nearly identical to the way it is today. You still have the crowd up along the river, and the layout of the race and the boat and the participants of the race is very similar today. So there wasn't really much change. The only really change you can see in most of the sports is the outfits at the time. They weren't exactly athletic or sporty as the ones you see today. They were nearly like casual wear, but they were considered at the time, they would be different outfits to what they wore on a daily basis. It was mostly shirt and ties and jackets and all that. What I disliked about the movie, it's not really towards the sports side of it or the similarities or differentities. It was just really the music. Like at that time, that music was very common, but it just kind of, when you're watching the clips and you're trying to take it seriously, watching the games and watching all the similarities, the music in the background was very kind of Benny Hill type music. It kind of put a comedic effect on the sport. You're kind of watching it, and the way the camera was moving, it was kind of going fast, and you had this music, so it kind of made it look like a comedy sketch for some parts. But I think that's just me. Also, I like the commentary, the narration over it, and Adrian Chiles actually describing the differences and about the different participants, especially the running one where he tells you about the American runners coming over and their backgrounds, that they came from a rich background and they were in college and they were athletes coming over to England. So that's another similarity I liked as well, that it showed that like an English event, you had people from abroad coming over, so it was kind of the start of national events turning international. So I like that bit too. And it's also showed, I was saying about the media making money, the crowds, that they're similar today. And I enjoyed that. I really enjoyed that movie. I actually liked seeing the different types of sports and how they're set up for the way it is today. So yeah.